Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today is Thursday, August 29, 2013. I'm introducing Dr. Amy. She is an assistant professor in English education, and she is the director of Missouri writing program, which is one of the strongest writing programs in the United States. I worked with Dr. Amy for almost 5 years, and she is very authoritative, very kind, very supportive, and very helpful. And we are very honored to have her presenting at this conference. So you are welcome, Dr. Amy, to present in our conference. I
Thank
hope
you.
next year that you come and present in person if the situation is safe there.
Very good.
Appreciate your help. Thanks a lot, Dr.
Yes.
Amy.
Well, thank you for the invitation. And it is wonderful to think that we are in this way communicating across, I know, a great distance. And I am delighted to bring greetings from Columbia, Missouri, from the University of Missouri, and to be able to share with you some of the things that are going on this campus with writing and how that connects also with English education. So a little bit about who we are. We have a writing program that is nearing 30 years old. It is housed on campus and in this old building. This is old to us. It was built in the 1860s. And we have a great place to bring faculty together into a home like this, owned by the university. It's a place where we talk about writing and the teaching of writing and effective teaching and learning. So the mission of this writing program is to support faculty as the primary agents of writing across the curriculum, theories and practices in educating students through principles of writing to learn and learning to write. We believe that teaching by these principles will enhance students' critical thinking and better engage them in complex problem solving while they learn to communicate with clear, effective language in discipline-specific ways. This program was started about 30 years ago when this writing across the curriculum movement was going all across the United States. And it was the idea that writing is one way to learn content, but also that through the writing we are learning how to communicate in very discipline-specific ways. So to be aware of how does a historian communicate, how does a mathematician communicate, and giving our students opportunities to write in those disciplines. One of the people that led this movement, a theorist and writer who has been a journalist, but also an educator, his name is William Zenzer. He is not at the University of Missouri, but we certainly read his works. And he said every discipline has a literature, a body of good writing that students and teachers can use as a model. And that's one of the things we do, is look at what are some effective writings that are done in the disciplines. Clear writing is the logical arrangement of thought. A scientist who thinks clearly can write as well as the best writer. And we want our students, our faculty, to be clear thinkers, excellent communicators, and writing and studying writing is one way to do that. We write to find out what we know and what we want to say. And we truly believe that when you are writing, you make discoveries about your content, about your research, about your work. William Zenzer goes on to say that as a writer, I had made clear to myself some subject I had previously known nothing about by just putting one sentence after another, by reasoning my way in sequential steps to its meaning. I thought of how often the act of writing, even the simplest document, a letter for instance, had clarified my half-formed ideas. Writing and thinking and learning were the same process. And he wrote those words in 1988 in one of his books. It's called Writing to Learn. So when I was thinking about the conference that you all are about, and I realized, in your interest, it's very much writing to learn, in this case, English, learning the language. And we definitely have focused also some of our efforts on that here as we work with a large and growing number of international students. And through writing, we see that as a place where we rehearse language. We rehearse the language that may be specific to certain disciplines, but also for those learning English It's a great way to learn English, but it has to be approached as this is my rehearsal time. I am not going to write something perfectly at the first time. I have to allow myself practice in a very safe way. It's a way to develop vocabulary and a way to then extend ideas as you start writing through and working out some of the language difficulties into clear understanding of ideas. And secondly, it is definitely writing to communicate ideas, so being able to share ideas with others and how important that is. So the origins, as I mentioned, this all started in the 1980s, so this gives us a little bit of that historical perspective. The way writing got started as a program on this campus was it started with a request for an additional composition course. And that was in 1983. And following that, professors here said, you know, we need to do more to actually then get writing not just in composition, but across in all of our disciplines. And so in 1984, 1985, there was a campus writing board that was formed. And it started to develop policies and procedures for faculty to propose writing-intensive courses. Courses that, yes, would have a lot of writing, but the writing would be revised, it would be worked on, it would be the kind of writing that is developing critical thinking, not just a place to dump a lot of information, but a place to really think through problems. So the writing board developed these policies, and in 1986, the faculty of this university voted to have a writing-intensive requirement that all students would take. And in 1989, because it was going so well, they voted on a second course. So now all undergraduates take writing-intensive courses. And since 1999, when we started keeping track, there have been over 5,000 courses taught at the University of Missouri considered writing intensive. So the way that requirement, if you were to enter here as an undergraduate student, you would be expected to take your English 1000. It's a first-year composition course. Then you would take any writing intensive course, any level, any major. And we have students that will take writing intensive courses in a variety of majors. Sometimes it's art history, sometimes it's something in music, sometimes it may be a geology class. But they're looking at meeting a requirement, but by doing that they're discovering something about writing in those disciplines. The final thing then is that students take one upper level writing intensive course, and that one must be in their major. So therefore, every single major department on this campus has writing intensive courses. We have about 14,000 students that are enrolled in a writing intensive course at any semester. And it's, again, about 400 courses offered as writing intensive every semester. So the way this happens then, faculty, it really starts with faculty. This is not a program that the administration has said must be in place. It is not something that one department said we want to have this. It was a group of faculty from across campus. And when a faculty member says, all right, I would like to make a course writing intensive, they then, through our online submission system, put in a course proposal. And so they write up, essentially, it's like a syllabus. It tells what they will do, what kind of assignments. That comes to us at the Conley House. We then present these proposals to our subcommittees. So it's smaller committees made up of faculty in education and social sciences, makes up one subcommittee. Another subcommittee is from the humanities and arts. And a third subcommittee is from the natural and applied sciences. Those committees meet every month. They review courses. They talk about effective assignments, how the faculty member that's proposing the course is going to assign and assess writing. They provide feedback, so questions, recommendations. Therefore, all of our courses go through this kind of review process. When the courses have then gone back, received any kind of changes from the faculty member, the campus writing board, which is these 18 members of the subcommittees, make up the writing board, and they make the final vote as to whether or not a course is considered writing intensive. And what's really interesting is every single semester, every writing intensive course must go through this process. And that may seem very difficult process to do, but we find it's important because then it allows the faculty member to really think carefully every semester, how are they teaching this course? It also allows us to provide funds to support for extra teaching. So if there's a teaching assistant that is hired to then work with these faculty members. So one of our deans from a few years ago, Milton Glick, he was the dean that helped start this program in the 1980s. And in 1988, he wrote an article called Writing Across the Curriculum, A Dean's Perspective. And he said the development of this program is affecting the entire campus in ways that go far beyond the issue of student composition competencies. The campus writing program has become symbolic of the potential for improved teaching and active learning on this campus. And it has become a rallying point for concerned faculty. What Dean Glick saw in 1988 is still true today. Our faculty support this program because they see it as a way not just to look at effective writing, but it helps to support them in their teaching and also to really get at that active learning so that when students are in these classes and writing intensive classes, as they tell us, it's not about memorizing and spitting back information. It's about really understanding concepts. It's about working through ideas. And in an interview recently for a research study, a student interviewed said that he thought all writing intensive courses, or that all courses should be writing intensive, not just those deemed writing intensive. Something else that's important to know what we do here to help faculty, because writing is difficult to teach, it takes time. We provide semester faculty and teaching assistant workshops so that faculty come in for a 2-day rather intense immersion experience into looking at writing and the teaching of writing and assessment. We provide roundtables and seminars throughout the year so faculty can come in at lunchtime and we provide lunch and we talk about issues related to writing. We meet with them one-on-one to do consultations about course design, maybe looking at some student writing together. We also offer writing retreats, which are opportunities for faculty to come in and work on their own writing. We know that our faculty, us included, have to write and publish, and we want to be able to do that. But we also know that we sometimes need help and a place where we can come and write without the interruptions. We publish a newsletter, and if you visit our website, you would be able to see current and previous issues of the EWAC, electronic Writing Across the Curriculum newsletter. So when we think about writing in our courses, we often ask students to open their minds to new ideas, and we have to be open to that same kind of thinking. How might we think about writing? What have we thought before, but how might we change? Writing as evaluation can be expanded to writing as process, writing as discovery, writing as learning, writing as design, and writing as an overall way of connecting ideas. Our website is listed there on the PowerPoint, and hopefully you have that in your handout. But a lot of the information about the program, resources, history can be found there. And we would welcome to have visitors at our website and emails from those of you that have further questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amy. So what do you recommend that we do in the College of Educational Department of English in Benghazi to have such workshops or such centers for writing and for enhancing learning English through writing? What do you recommend?
Well, I think it starts with your faculty, bringing your faculty together to have these conversations that what the faculty here did in the 1980s, where they allowed people to talk about their teaching and what they saw in student work, what they wanted to see, thinking about what are the goals, the outcomes that you want to see, and then working backwards to think about how can we get students to that point.
Yeah, according to your experience in teaching writing, do you think that writing enhances learning foreign language such as English? Or?
Yes, and I had a really interesting example of that in just one particular example. One of our tutors, we provide tutors for students. One of the tutors was visiting with a young man who was studying here from another country. His writing was just, he really was struggling, really struggling. And one of the things that the tutor did was to say, you know, let's do a few things to first work on just the ideas. Let's get your ideas figured out. What is it that you're trying to say? And that tutor worked one-on-one with that student over the course of the semester. And it was remarkable, he said, where that student started and where that student ended. So not only did that student grow in his understanding of the content, of the ideas and concepts of the course, but his writing went from being by far the bottom of the whole class, and this was a large class. There were 200 students in this class. This student went from being at the very bottom to being one of the top writers in one semester. And it was because he was very committed, he was very hardworking, and so he took the advice from the tutor very seriously. And they did things like, let's look for patterns. What kind of patterns do we find of error that we could then apply to other areas of a paper? But they kept going back to, you know, what is it you're trying to say? And as the student got more comfortable with the ideas of the course and had a chance to rehearse those in writing, he then grew in his ability to write. And so, you know, if we can provide that kind of support for people, I think we'd be very pleased as teachers.
Oh, that's great. By the way, Dr. Amy is the director of the website Artifacts, which I added some students
Good.
from Libya to this website.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can search about this website, or I can add you to the Facebook, and you can see some writings done by undergrad students at MU, and maybe in the future we are thinking of making that international, so you can write and send your writings through this website. Dr. Amy, we appreciate your presentation,
Yes,
and we are honored to have you
and
in this. Yeah.
One thing about artifacts to think about
Yeah.
would be if your students wanted to use, even to look at some of those articles that students have done and learn about what are students doing with the types of writing. That could be a wonderful teaching strategy right there.
Thank you. So finally, what do you say about to the educators there in Libya, and namely for those who are conducting this conference? Dr. Aguila, he's a close friend of mine.
Well, you all, I know, have to miss Yusuf Omar. We have
Thank
been
you.
blessed to have him here in Colombia for these many years, and have learned so much about certainly language and culture, and we are just so thankful that he's been able to be here with us. So I wish you well for the conference. May it be a wonderfully successful time, gathering together of many ideas and new beginnings.
Okay, thank you
Thank
much,
you.
Dr. Amy. Appreciate that. Thanks a lot.